praise the Lord for this lovely chapel that the Lord himself has wanted for a place on which, as it were, to stand here in South Armagh, from which he will radiate healing as he did in the Gospel today. All she wanted was to be able to touch the fringe of his garment. We have here the Lord, and we touch him when we receive him in the Blessed Sacrament. It's the same Lord, and he will heal on every level, inside and outside. If we let him, we must be healers ourselves and not causers of pain. Remember that when we go through life, we have a choice. Today, will I hurt or help? And there has been also the inspiration to have it in such a way that this chapel will be a special place of help, not just for the living, but for the dead. In fact, every Holy Mass celebrated on this altar, which is a complete altar with an altar stone and everything, will be for the holy souls in purgatory. So they will be very grateful, and they will come back to you in gratitude. They never let themselves be outdone in generosity. They're very, very grateful. I once heard it actually said, when I was in formation in France, from our Holy Novice Master, and he knew it from other priests. It was a secret among priests. If you want anything really done, if you want an intention answered, there's a secret among priests. Offer Holy Mass for the souls in purgatory. Things happen suddenly out of the blue. I want to talk for a moment about the saint of this day, St. Maria Goretti. As a student, I was there when it happened. It's not far from Rome. We went and we venerated her. And the story is this. She was born in Ancona of very poor parents, and that's the port that links Italy to the likes of Medjugorje, that's where they go. And they moved further south to south of Rome, Nettuno, which became later in time famous for another reason, which was also personally interesting for our group, because half of them were Americans from the university. And what it was this: in the war, the Americans had landed in Sicily, and they were moving up bit by bit towards Rome to liberate it, and the day it was liberated is still a national feast to this day, 25th of April. It's a big feast in Italy. So up they came, and it was very costly onslaught. They were losing young men by the hundred, by the thousand. So close to where this saint is, we've got this massive, massive military graveyard with hundreds and hundreds of white crosses. And you've got also a very moving statue in a kind of chapel affair, and it's like this. It's two young American soldiers, and they're in this position. They're holding each other arm upon shoulder like that, going into the fray together. Very moving. So it's a powerful place, and our young American friends, students, they sang the American national anthem there. Wow, was that a tearjerker on that spot? So I close that parenthesis, but this, where it happened, was this. They moved down to this very poor, kind of shackle place, and they were trying to survive. There were 6 children, and she, Maria, was the third. She was very devout, a very good lassie. She knew what was good for her soul, and she prayed a lot. And the misfortune was that because of their poverty, they had to share part of that small place they had with another family, and they had in particular the same kitchen. And that was a downfall, because this man, his name was Alessandro, who was older than she was, had a passion for her, and this day he was going to get her. And he threatened her with a dagger, and he meant to use it if she didn't yield to his passion. And of course she was a Holy Virgin, refused, and he started with a dagger. So she realized what was happening, and she didn't die immediately. She was taken immediately to hospital. This is 1950 it was happening. No, 1902 it was happening, beginning of the century, 1902. hospitals were what they were in 1902. So she lasted a small time, I think about 3 days actually, I'm not quite sure, in which she was consciously able to grant forgiveness to her aggressor. She died, and now it didn't finish there. This man, Alessandro, I think he must have been about 16 at the time, he was immediately caught by the authorities and he was put in prison, and a very severe sentence was given to him. He wasn't executed, but he would have had something like life imprisonment, which made him depressed, possibly suicidal, we don't know. And something happened. Maria Goretti, in great glory, appeared to him, showing the great glory that she'd had, and said this, that she had forgiven him, but the message was that he had to get his act together. And that was the turning point in his soul and life, to such an extent that his behaviour became very good, and they were able to release him eventually. And he came into the world a completely changed man. And would you believe it, he went to a monastery of Capuchins, knocked on the door, explained his story, and asked if he could come in as a penitent. And they let him in. So he lived as a lay brother with the Capuchins until he died a holy death. And, because he wasn't completely enclosed, he was able to be present at the... Actually, at that time, I don't think he was yet a Capuchin, but it was 1950, the canonization. It was Pius XII who canonized her, and he was there, that's the point. He was there at the celebration. It was a very moving canonization, but one for our time. And Pius XII knew its importance for our time. And that was only 1950, when the filth wasn't yet in. So you girls, remember that. Be clean. And it starts with the eyes. Don't look at anything which might go into you through your eyes. The eyes are the portholes of the soul. Things go in there, images, and they stick there. You can't unsee something seen. It's engraved in your memory forevermore and can do harm, ineradicable harm. So be careful, you lassies, what you look at. Just to be aware, live television, not filtered, is a dangerous gadget, because you don't know what's going to come up, just like that. It's safer if you look at a well-prepared, for instance, recorded documentary or YouTube, or a specific program you want to see for a specific reason, a history program, whatever it might be. It's programmed, calculated, selective viewing. But passive absorbing like that is a dangerous way of passing your time. You don't know what's going to come into you and what damage it'll do to your soul. There's every day stuff coming out and less censoring going on. And it applies also to these new gadgets, because if you're not careful, things come up there that shouldn't be either. They're popping up, and things come in the margin, all kinds of things. I think you know what I mean. So be careful. It's all solicitation. They want you. I conclude. Most of you are young. You've got your whole life ahead of you. And it's kind of important. I mentioned at the beginning, we have a choice between giving off warmth and healing or pain and aggression. That's important. It's just be aware, we've only got one life. What do we want at the end of it? A whole baggage of pain caused and therefore received, or warmth given off. Remember now, at the last, whatever we've done, if there's been a lot of love, a lot will be looked over. And when I was a child, I remember there was an advert on television, and it was one of those, in those days, black and white cartoons. It used to come up for road safety between other programs. And it was this. At a certain point, you had a crossroads, and you had two motorists coming in. And it went something like this, the first take. And each one pops his head up and and the second take. After you. No, after you. fantasy costs nothing. Remember that. The choice is ours. At the end of the day, if we've caused pain, it's there in the air. If we've caused joy, we've made life easier for somebody. One last thought. Time actually is not that long. We think it is, but if you look at all the map of eternity, like the universe, there's no lid. There's no end. So, if we go to heaven, there's no end. If we go to the other place, there's also no end. Just be aware, there are some in the other place because they didn't use time well. So it's important before we live to get it straight. I'm not going to mess up this one life I have. There's no coming back. And death can hit us any moment. I heard this when actually about your age in school. It was the English teacher. He was a good teacher actually. And he gave us this quote from some author. Looking at life. It was a three-liner basically. Youth is a blunder. Middle age is a slog. Old age is a regret. So use the moment. Don't make it a regret when you get on. Make it in such a way that you're not sorry for the use you made of this precious, precious gift.